My why is because I believe every single person deserves to be heard. That every single person has greatness within them.
Hello, and welcome back to Master Your Life, a show dedicated to stories of grit and determination and a whole lot of fun. Because you know what? My theory is if it's not fun, it's just not worth it. And I'm really excited to welcome Angel Howard to the show. Welcome, Angel. I'm so glad you're here.
Thank you, Kate. I am also glad here at the beginning of 2026, the year of the fire horse, and I'm spending it with you.
I
That's
know.
fun.
Pretty awesome. So I love to just pass the mic and just, if you don't mind, just telling the audience a little bit about who you are, and then we're going to get right into the questions. But I love your own little Reader's Digest version.
Yeah, Reader's Digest. We're going to have to bullet point, who I am. We're going to skip to what I do now. How about that? I'm just a girl from Tennessee. Can we start there?
Love it.
Anyway, I'm a somatic movement therapist, which used to be a strange word about 10 years ago. Now it's a word, a household word like Kleenex. It's great for me, although things get watered down a little bit. But with a somatic therapeutic perspective on life, trying to stay focused, I'm in Aries, as you've pointed out before, and I just love to do it all. So before my audience, I like to focus in on. And in the somatic perspective, it's basically about getting people in their bodies. And people would say, well, how do you do that? That's the best question I always get asked. It's like, what do you mean get in your, I'm in my body. It's like, I bet you're not. And, it's about feeling. It's about feeling the sensations. And what that means is being mind, body, and spirit all in one person instead of most people are up in their heads thinking about, worrying about, wondering, wanting, not wanting, all this happens in our head. Our body is so simple. And I like to help people find their own path, find their own empowerment by starting with getting in their body, getting the messages, and then rolling with that. The healing starts there, the power is there. But that's basically, really, in a simple nutshell, what I do.
Right. And I love it too, because I think in our culture in general, and obviously correct me if, whatever your point of view is on this, but I totally believe that we've associated men and women with, oh, men are mostly in their head and women are more in their body. But I actually don't think that's true. I think that a lot of the self-help movement has put women more in their mind and in their head about how do I fix this is a narcissist, and diagnosing our mental health obsession with
Yeah.
diagnosing keeps us in this mental loop. And I believe at some level it's disconnected ourselves from our body. What's
Mhm.
your thesis or thoughts on that?
Okay, great question. So, our culture in America is visual. Billboards, magazines. Now with the internet, everything's right in the palm of our hand. And now with AI, it's like if I have a question about anything, let's ask AI. What color should women my age be wearing in April? I mean, my goodness, right? So it tells us we have so many external, and that's the word I want you to hone in on, external guidance to what we should do, say, and look like. And then you have this whole social media that says, in a false way, I do believe that everything is peachy and fine and my relationships are great. No, 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 no. Or you take the negative and then they talk about everything that's not fine and not right. My point is, our culture is based on external input.
Mm.
That means that most people grow up never actually asking themselves what brings them joy or delight or happiness or what they like to do and what they don't like to do, what they like to put on, what they like to look like, what they like inside. That's why I say it starts in the body because the
Mm.
body sensations will tell you immediately, I don't like that. I do
That
like
doesn't.
that. I don't feel comfortable. I don't like that person. It's internal versus external, and that's a very simplistic but very powerful way to look at it.
So why is it that we've shunted that off, and what gets in the way of us giving permission to feel? And why is that so degraded?
Hmm. Gosh. Wow. I'm actually when I pause, it only means that I'm trying to make it a Reader's Digest version. But again, our culture. Our culture says basically that emotions, if you show emotions, you're weak,
Mm,
which is a very primal and not a very sophisticated way of looking at the human behavior and human nature.
mm,
We are humans. We feel things. We're sentient beings. That means we have senses, the five senses. We see, feel, and hear and feeling inside of our body. But
mm.
we've lost that. We've lost the value of our senses. And therefore, if we show that we feel too much, it looks weak.
Yeah.
And I've got story after story in the corporate world where that was proven to me. And
Yeah.
I used to have the philosophy, no moss grows on this rolling stone. So if I just keep going, okay, yeah, I didn't feel good, but I'm just going to keep pushing forward. I'm just going to keep going. I'm going to keep running. I'm going to keep walking. I'm going to keep moving to the next day. People think that that thing that they feel will disappear, dissipate, or just take a back seat. No, it won't.
Mm.
And until they realize, which could come up as disease or accidents or things that happen to bam, knock them into back into their body, we don't do it. We just don't go. We don't show our emotions. And I'm sorry, I'm going to say this. I just published a podcast about men and their feelings. Men
Mm.
are human. They
Exactly.
feel, they
Yep.
cry, they feel
Mhm.
sad, they feel hurt. You know, it's just well, because you raised boys, but boy,
Yeah,
I don't,
five brothers. Well, I think,
yeah,
and that's, I guess, goes to the point of what I feel real passionate about, particularly because I coach a lot of men, and I
mhm,
find it easier to coach men in a lot of ways because everything is so much more direct and upfront. Like I don't have to go through the subterfuge of are they going to be offended if I am I too direct or whatever that is. But men feel, as you said, but it may look different than women express themselves, and that's not does not mean that it's not as valued, that
mm-mm.
their manifestation of emotion or how they express it should be a certain way. And that
No.
I'd love to blow the lid off that whole ridiculous thesis.
There's a biological reason for this, and it's kind of fun. But inside the womb, when the egg and the sperm get together, and it says Y or XY or XX, whatever, when the becomes the boy, we have this like sex button, right? And it's like if it's a girl, it goes inside. If it's a boy, it goes outside. And it continues throughout their personality. So
Yes.
all of their dealings, all of their things except for their emotions happen on the outside. And boys, when they have for couples, when they get into disagreements, they fight it out. They literally say, we're going to get this out, we're going to put it on the table, we're going to argue about it, we're going to throw punches about it, and then
Yep.
we'll be over it
Over it.
because we got it out, we duked it out, or we negotiated, whatever, but we're over it now. Women are different because we're innies. We hold everything inside, we hide it. When women fight, it's behind each other's backs. That's where the back scratching and the cat fights, and it's mean, and they're erosive, and they use their words because they can to take the knees out from underneath you, and they don't get over things because it never really gets out. So
Yeah.
I kind of honor the way men fight.
I think there's something to be said for it, and I'm glad we're actually moving back into that a little bit more in our culture. Could you talk, please, about the different ways that we do experience life, visually, auditory, and kinesthetically, and how do you teach that, especially with people who aren't necessarily kinesthetic as you and I are, to understand the value of kinesthetic awareness and somatic awareness?
The differences, yeah. So that, it shows up in school. Some kids can read a book or read a board and they get it. It goes in and computes and they're able to work through it and assimilate it. Some people use audio, like their eyes for some reason aren't taking it, but if you tell them, and I can tell you this, that most people are not audio, and I could tell you why. You're not audio or you are?
Audio.
Really?
Yeah, with ADHD, a lot of times visual front is too much. We see a lot on the periphery. That's why I'm
Okay.
peripheral awareness is redonk. And also I hear things. I'm clairescent, clairaudience. I need to hear things and understand it. I'll talk out loud to myself when I'm remembering a number. Yeah, but I know it's not very common.
Well, it keeps you focused. I get it. Because when you
Yeah.
hear, like when I was editing my book, I would read it out loud to my partner. I'm like, let me read this out loud because then you can focus on the words. So I understand that's a focusing issue for your brain. But
Yes.
most people don't assimilate information as well as clear in the audio channel because they've been yelled at as kids.
Oof.
Yeah. So it's
That's
what you
tough.
grow up with. If you've got a nagging mom, or you have somebody that's just wham, 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 or yelling, or you have arguing parents, or an abusive dad, or whatever, those people normally shut their ears down
Wow.
and they become better with eyes, maybe. And I will say that men tend to be better, like when you're trying to get a point across to a man, if you write it down for them, they do seem to take it a little bit, they can assimilate better.
Mm.
Now, kinesthetic, though, I think I could honestly say that most people have a very developed kinesthetic channel because you can't shut it out. But whether they pay attention to it
Mm.
or ignore it is also a nurture way they were brought up. Like if
Mm.
you felt something, something hurt, and you're crying, and you go to your mom or dad, and they're like they push you away, they can't see you, whatever, then you learn at an early age that showing emotions doesn't get me what I need, therefore there's no need to do that. This is
Mm.
behavioral modification starting at a very early age. So
Mm.
those are the different channels. You can't ignore the kinesthetic, though. I'm
Right.
sorry, Kate, we
No,
really can't.
no,
If
you
it
really.
hurts, it hurts,
Well, that's
right?
why, honestly, that's why when I talk about fun, that's what I mean. Because our joy is in the body. We're lucky enough to be in this skin suit in the body. And
Mhm.
even when you're reading, I studied the Old Testament this morning, and when people were upset and they're grieving, they tore at their clothes. They ripped off their clothes. How many times do we hear about like stories where people are, it seems like, God, they're being a little dramatic, but that's the way somatically a grief was expressed, and it was okay, and it was validated, and it's in the Bible multiple times about how men were grieving by ripping off their clothes.
Well, I'm glad to know that that's a support publication for somatics because my whole premise is feel it and heal it. You got to feel it, you got to express it. So there you're expressing it, whatever it is. You can't skip feeling it and going, okay, I feel sad, I'm moving on. You have to express it. You have to actually let the tears flow. You have to get mad. A bataka is one of these soft bats that you can just hit something, hit an inanimate object, screaming in a pillow, screaming until your stomach hurts. It comes out. It
Mhm.
comes out. You have to express it to heal it.
So true. I absolutely love it. I'm wondering about this thought. Love your thoughts on it actually. When I read an article many years ago about how if we want people, particularly younger people, teenagers, to figure out what they're passionate about or what, they hear that all the time. What do you want to be? Or all these ridiculous questions that who knows? I'm still wondering myself personally, who am I when I grow up? But the question was, what pisses you off? What gets you mad? Like sometimes we have to look at that emotion to fuel ourselves. That we're not always going to be motivated by cupcakes and rainbows. That sometimes we have to tap into what something we usually hide, which is madness or a passion or what is by society is a negative emotion. What's your take on that?
I've got a great story about that, my own personal journey with that as a creative, actually. So I was talking to my girls this weekend about that. The creative energy that we fuel is in the second chakra. It's at below the belly button and above the pubic bone. Yeah, 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 my book. But
It's all
in that area is also the sexual energy. We feel or get aroused. You start feeling like, whoa, juice is flowing in that area. That's fire. All right. So it's redirecting, it's directing the energy of fire that is coming up. People talk about Kundalini and the snake rising, and that's prana and that's life. Okay. So it is life that you are creating. And in that thought pattern of that, redirecting your anger or creative energy or that fire, okay, you can be angry, and I've done this. This is going to be a little stretch, but I'm going to say this and admit this. But you can transform anger into passion. Actually, if you had a willing partner, like I'm feeling this like intense thing, let's go make love and let me transform it. Let me be an alchemist within my own body,
Mm.
right? And so everybody has things that happen in their life and they trigger anger, sadness. All right. I had a boyfriend who was very intense, very, very intense. And we had almost um, such an intense connection and sexual connection that when we broke up, it was uber intense. The breakup was angering and maddening for me. That's that passion. I had no place to go. No
Yes.
place to go. So I don't know if you know the band Days of New, but it's like this really intense music. And I got the album and I would listen to this intense music and I would take that anger and passion and fire and I would work out like a banshee. Now I know you understand this, right? But I would put it into that workout and I'd be like, yes, I'm going to lift more weights. I'm going to pedal harder. I'm going to do what it takes to transform this fire energy. So, yeah, something happens, it triggers a place in us, and anger is fire. So, that's the element. Fire burns bright, but if you block it, very angry making so that you will explode if you do not express it in some sort of creative way, some sort of other way than, say, yelling at somebody or getting into a wreck or cutting somebody off. So many ways to display anger, right? But transforming it, that is the alchemy that we can do as humans with the energy that comes up in us. So yeah, and that fueled actually some amazing, once I got the fire kind of like directed toward my workout, then I was able to use it in a super creative fashion.
And
Super creative. I
and for
got art out of it, books out of it.
but you
So
also have to grieve as well.
yeah,
See, grief came through that emotion as well, which is so important in the grief work because
yeah,
everyone's grieving. Everyone has trauma. Everybody does. And so
right.
how do we move that energy to be
Yeah.
free? To be free ultimately, right?
Yes. Yes. And what people don't know, and I'm actually focusing on a friend of mine this year because she has done such hard work. Oh my God, for 2 years, this family of origin crap that she got out of, she worked very hard and she's on the other side of it. And what people don't know is what's it like on the other side? Is it worth doing the work? If you don't know and haven't experienced bliss, satisfaction, satiation, just happiness sitting with yourself, if you haven't experienced that, then you don't know. But I
Wow.
really want her, I'm like, please let me interview you because I want people to know that there is grass greener on the other side of the tough work, releasing grief, releasing anger, touching into it, admitting it, bringing it out, looking at it instead of stuffing it in the closet, looking at it, and then let it come out. Artwork. There's so many ways to let your emotions out. Dancing is one. It's great. Dancing your story. But she's on the other side, and people need to know that yes, grass is greener. Yes, life is better. It'll be suck for a minute, but it's like going through an electric fence. You'll be on that electric fence for however long it takes, and then you'll be on the other side.
Mhm. And the view of creativity, I think, is such an important aspect of being able to cultivate that. But to understand, viewers and listeners, that cultivation of creativity can be an incredible business. It can
Mm,
be an amazing marriage. It can be solving a math equation. It can
yeah.
be all of these things. Creativity isn't just the feminine, what we view as feminine creation or art creation, but also
Right.
creating things, creating structure. For me, I
Mhm.
didn't realize that was so true. I have a theater background, but then I built an 8-figure business and I was like, wow, I can talk about that. I created systems in it, which now I look back and go, oh, that's creative too. So being able to honor that and live into the expression in however it manifests.
That's right. It's just directing the energy.
So good. You are a master at that. It is a real mastery for you to be the tip of the sword in everything you do. I know this about you just from the few conversations I've had with you, and it's a full inspiration. I just want to let you know I feel that energy and I understand that energy, and you drive energy forward for so many people, and it takes great courage. And I would love to
Mm.
talk, if you wouldn't mind talking about that. What drives that courage? And how in what ways have you overcome adversity to still live in that courageous spirit?
Oh, that is such a great question because I do ask myself on the mornings that I don't have courage and I want to sit on my couch and I want to get in my car, go to the mountains and disappear. You know, yeah, I'm human. I have that. Things get hard. I don't want to step into it, so to speak. And, what do you do on those mornings? You have to be, I learned, you have to be gentle with yourself, which Aries are not gentle with ourselves. No, we push ourselves to the limit.
Mhm.
And this is when you have to slow down. You
Mhm.
have to take a break and look and sit. And that's the hard part is sit in the ick. You have to
Mhm.
sit with why do I feel so gross today or that I cannot push forward or what is making me feel like I'm under the floorboards.
Mhm.
For me, when I ask that question, it's like I have no external validation that what I'm doing is making a difference. Because otherwise, why work so hard at being a messenger if you're speaking into a dark hole or a black hole or a vacuum where people are like, I didn't really hear that. And people say, well, then that makes you externally focused. I'm like, no, I'll admit it. I need a little validation that I'm making a difference, folks.
Beautiful.
Because
It's so good. You're a woo. You
yeah,
need to have the connection. It's your fuel. And people, there's nothing wrong with that. We need
yeah,
that as humans to be validated. And I think it's beautiful that you can admit that. It's so
yeah.
important.
Well, and people do fuel me. Some people, and I consider myself an extroverted introvert, I guess. But when I go out and I'm, walking down the street and I was like, oh, hey, Angel, haven't seen you in a while, I love it. And
Mm.
and I always have something. I don't know where it comes from. Maybe it's innate. But I'm like, oh my God, how's your daughter? She was graduating. Da, da, da. I can remember something about everybody. And it's genuine because I genuinely care about people. But it's nice to know that they genuinely care about me or that like, oh, they recognize me from, speaking on stage or whatever. So I do sit in the ick. I ask the question, what has got me underneath the floorboards? And then what do you do? It's like, okay, what do you do? I say call a friend. I call my girlfriends. I'm like, I'm having a day. Let me just spew for a minute. And that is what's great about women. Men don't do this as much. I think they should get into a little container and say, I just need to just say all the icky stuff that I'm thinking about. Like, I don't feel worthy. My hair looks awful and I tried cutting it and I really screwed it up. And, I got to be on the internet and I look like this and my gland, just say all the ridiculous, icky, awful stuff. Again, it's like you got to express it. And you feel better. We just do. Women, especially, if we just get it out, we don't need you to fix it. We don't need you to even have an opinion about it. It's, I just want to throw up. Will you hold my hair back, please?
Yeah, amen. It's just, and I love that. You guys all hear that? Yeah, just I'm throwing up. Please hold my hair back. I mean, that's real true friendship. To be reals,
Yeah.
absolute to be reals. So growing up, how did you incorporate the big energy of who you are in generally in family structures that may or may not support that kind of energy? How was that for
Yeah.
you, being such
Mm.
a spear?
Wow. So I grew up in a family of men, a father, three brothers, and me and mom. Mom understood me. I had a great mother. She's passed, that's why I said had, but she lives with me every day. But she allowed me to be the creative. She got delight out of my imaginary friends because I was born so late in the family. I basically was a single child. So I had imaginary friends. I'd tell her about them. I was very creative. I'd spend my whole day out of the house. This is back when we could do this, come home for dinner. But if we were in social situations, okay, that's different. That's where you gotta, put up appearances. You hide your laundry. I'm from the southeast, where you're a family name. You can't do this. You show up there. And I was big energy, like you said, big energy, big voice, big smile. Want to entertain. And mom would have to tell me that's too much. You're too much. Keep your voice down, take it in a notch. And I can tell you that that's traumatic to this day because if someone I love, which is only the very few people that could do this, especially a man in my life, tells me to take it down a notch, oh my God, or calm down.
Oh,
I know. I mean, most women hate that anyway, I think. But being a big energy, it's like, oh no, oh hell no. Oh, you're not going to, like Elphaba, you're not going to bring me down. Mm-mm. I'm defying gravity. Watch this. And it just fuels my fire to get bigger. So I had a dichotomy. Okay. My mom allowed me to be big on my own in my own private space. But out in public, I had to wear the dresses and the little gloves and the little shoes and the little socks and whatever, to look the part. And that was always, that gave me a good experience of what I liked, what I didn't like, what's a
wow.
facade and what's
Yes. Yes. Wow, that's powerful image. Holy smokes. But the beautiful thing is that was wrapped in love because you were so well loved. And I think that does come across that you were clearly a cherished human. And
yeah,
gosh, how lucky that you've been able to bring that aspect into the world because we need more people that were well loved. I would share the same experience that I was a whole, too big for my britches at home. But then when I got to school, I realized that wasn't really okay. It really didn't go over too big. So that was a challenge for me for sure. And you understanding that dichotomy of who are you? And then the beautiful thing about getting older is being, well, it doesn't really matter. You're just going to be authentically yourself. And I believe that that's, again, going back to what you really truly bring to the world is that energy. So I want to pivot, and I really want to talk about your newer project. First of all, I just want to say this has been on my table because, first of all, it's a beautiful aesthetic book. I love aesthetics. So your first book, is this your first book?
it is my
Okay,
first published book. Yeah.
tissues in your tissues. And it goes through, like what we were talking about, the whole somatic process of where things manifest based on your chakra system, based on your energy system. This book is amazing. It'll be in the show notes. But drum roll, you got something else going on that I know is coming soon. So if you don't mind just telling the audience about that. And I know that it's like a newer thesis for you and something that you're deeply passionate about because you're
Very
just,
much so.
so
Mhm.
I'd love to hear about it.
Yeah, timing is good for this new book. So the first book is really about you having a conversation with your body and all the wealth of knowledge and wisdom and healing that's there. Second book is called What's Messing with Your Messages. And the subtitle is Bridging the Gap Between What You Say and What You Mean. And everybody I've told that, yes, see, has the same reaction. It's like, oh, very easy to understand. So the second book simply is about body language and being on the same page of what your body is telling us anyway, because we tell our stories, what's going on inside of us, whether we like it or not, when we walk into a room.
Mm.
So messages goes through kinesthetic stories about, have you ever felt like when you walked into the room, it's like, oh my God, I don't belong here. That is a kinesthetic sense. Before you open your mouth, people can know that you're uncomfortable. These are this exchange of innate communication that started, caveman times. because it kept us safe. It's like, okay, this doesn't feel right. I should probably turn around when you listen to it. And I tell every, especially woman, to listen to your body. It's telling you what's so. It's not lying to you. Your brain lies. It makes everything okay if it needs to
Yeah.
be, right? The body never lies. So the message is really for communication. I call it the super communicator. And if somebody says, well, I don't need the book, I'm like, yeah, you do, because you're constantly communicating with your parents, with your kids, with your coworkers, with your friends, with difficult people. This gives you the tools and skills, the understanding, first of all, of what messages you're giving unintentionally that's messing with what you want people to know about you and to buy your product or listen to your message. There's conflicting things that are going on that's blocking what you really want to say and do in this world. This book goes through, here's how and why, get on the same page. If you need to go back to book one and discover, okay, I'm giving traumatic messages to people when I'm trying to help them and they're not hearing me. People,
Mm.
those senses we talked about, those don't work when the kinesthetic sense is overriding what they feel when they're around you. So
Mm.
this book is about why is that so? And then the most important part, I think, is the teaching aspect of what to do now,
Mm.
how to work with yourself, how to work with the other people in your life, how to communicate, how to communicate. There's cartoons in there. There's scenarios in there. I make it fun because as an Aries, I don't have patience to read a whole lot of descriptives and gobbledygook. You could read messages on a plane flight. You can give it to your class and they can read it literally in a day, overnight, whatever, and talk about it the next day. And then get into the meat of it as you go on if you're going to teach it or hire me to come teach it. But I think everybody, especially now, it's difficult to discuss the things that we are disagree on.
Right.
This book helps that.
We need that. I mean, that two-way communication thing. I read a recent study, I think it was like in Korea, the reason why there is less tension in relationship is because the women in general say, is there anything to the men? Is there anything I can help you with? Is there anything that's hard for you right now? And just bringing up that question, unlike in America where, oh, he didn't call me, so I'm not going to call him. And then I'm pissed off. And then I'm going to go on Instagram and do he cheated on me story. And all of these they're all subterfuge versus unfortunately reality TV is just the false sense of communication, and what you're talking about is much more of an art form of being human, and is extraordinarily difficult because I think we've lost touch with this.
Yes.
Mm.
Yes, in the book, in the very end, the book, the last really meaning is we're social animals. We need each other. So let's learn how to communicate better so that we can have the communities, small, large, whatever it is, but humans die, literally die without community, without contact with other humans. There's many studies. I don't even need to explain why, but we need that. So let's learn how to communicate with you. So you're heard. You want to be heard. And so your people that mean things to you are heard too. They feel listened to.
Mhm.
And that's where you foster relationships.
Right. I think also too, another thing, because I just finished writing my book, Grief and Grace, is much of the challenges with people who struggle with grief, and this is really true for anything, is that it's the beauty of being witnessed in your authentic,
Yes.
in the rawness of you. And that's never okay for me. Like I never felt like I could be witnessed because it was one trauma, one loss after the other. So it was, I was always on the edge of my seat looking around to see what I had to manage and realizing that what I missed was I never felt safe enough to be witnessed in the authenticity of the hurt or whatever it was. And that's a big ass deal. And I think that's a lot of what you're talking about. And also, I would say, uh, as well, being present in how you feel and communicating that also goes into the spiritual realm, whatever your relationship is with God. Are you living in your sentient experience of your relationship with your spiritual power, your spiritual guide? Because nothing is just an intellectual process. We're missing the boat on the goodness, which is life, the feeling aspect, which is not to be degraded, it's to be celebrated. Because we're lucky enough to be humans that can express love and desire and pain and suffering and grief and all the messy middle, but we can do it in healthy ways.
Well, I'm going to say this. What you mentioned. What I take is the cherry on top. When you talked about thinking that you couldn't grieve with people or in front of people, is people feel like they're alone. They feel like they're the only one. Like no one could feel this much pain.
No way.
And the truth is, and I'm not making light of that, but the truth is, we all feel tremendous pain
Of
and no
course.
one shows it. It's
Mhm.
when your friend cries or when somebody in a group therapy situation literally has a meltdown, everybody else feels relieved inside.
Yes.
It's almost like they're doing it for you. It's like, oh, thank God I'm not the only one that's that intense inside. But this isolation has been amplified with
Yes.
COVID, okay? With our phones, with communication, with texts and online and Zoom and all. We don't have to leave our houses. Amazon delivers everything, your food, your dinner,
Yeah.
all of it. But
Mhm.
it can't, even AI. You can have discussions, people I know have discussions with AI about their own mental health.
All the
And it's like,
time.
but they're not human. And it's
Yes.
never, I'm going to say this, I'm really passionate about this.
Yeah.
It's
Good.
never going to be the same as
No,
human connection people.
can't be.
No.
No, it just simply can't be. Yeah,
So you,
we all got to hear that because I think that's the challenge, right? And particularly with the communication, it is a version of self-care, and for men in particular, that's their number one way to get self-care is in community. And women, we know that, right? But really, ultimately, it is the suicide rate 1 to 4 to men to women is because men have lost community, and that's the warning sign usually for most people, but for men in particular. And so, yeah, we have to have a purpose and a passion. And without that, we're in trouble. And so, can you talk just touch into a little bit, and then I want to talk about your launch and all that. But can you touch into that a little bit about why you think it's important for people to be somatically woke?
I think you just coined something there. Somatically woke. I may have to use that, Kate.
Please,
You
I'm
just,
in selection and the Strength Finder. I come up with weird stuff all the time. So,
oh, I
yeah.
love it. You're a
So,
word crafter. You're a word crafter. Somatically woke. All right. Because
yes.
the number one reason to be somatically woke is it keeps you safe. Number one,
Yeah.
when you're not in your body, things happen to you because your body's operating without consciousness.
Yes.
So you're stepping off sidewalks and breaking your ankle. You're running, you step. I've had people in my family do this that stepped off the sidewalk in New York and been hit by a car.
Mhm.
It's like, how could you not see that? Or even just you can kinesthetically feel when you're in danger. So I tell young women, I used to teach a class at Columbia College in Columbia, South Carolina, all women, and they were not in their bodies. And I'm like, ladies, when you walking on a trail at night or even during the day, and something inside of you says, uh-oh, something feels off and wrong, you need to heed it because it is. Your body never lies. It's telling you something's up ahead, something's behind you, something's in a bush. You have to trust it. So, number one, somatic woke keeps you safe. Okay. Somatic woke number two keeps you healthy. If you do not, you're laughing. If you do not,
But you have to use it.
oh, it's in now. Somatically woke keeps you healthy. It was coined here today, folks. January 6th,
Really, it's so
2026.
appropriate
Kate McKay. Kate McKay said it. Angel Howard's going to use it.
to run
All
with it,
right.
to make it. Yeah.
Somatically woke keeps you healthy.
Yep.
if you have a little gnawing, let's say, for women in that second chakra area, maybe to the right or left of your belly button, and it's like this little pulling feeling, okay? And then it, keeps going, keeps going. You ignore it. It could be a period cramp, it could be your ovaries doing something. But if you ignore things that are chronic, that could also be an ovarian cyst. You cough all the time. You're like, I don't know, maybe I just live in a bad area. Maybe I live in LA and it's the smog. You have a chronic cough. That's telling you something. Something's going on with your lungs that your body can't heal. It's above and beyond just a little passing problem. So chronic problems mean there's something bigger going on. And if you don't check it out, or at least go into your body and go, what is wrong? Is this really bad? It will tell you. There's all kinds of things that can go wrong. Diseases coming on, tumors, bad circulation. If you can't breathe really well, climbing three flights of stairs, you need to get your heart checked. I mean, these are just, to me, this is like, duh, but people ignore them for so long, it's too late.
Yeah.
So, somatically woke number two, it keeps you healthy. Somatically woke number three keeps you happy.
Yeah,
Oh
right
my
on.
goodness. The being in your body will tell you each step you take in life whether this is going to be the right thing for you or the wrong thing for you. And how that shows in your body is super individual, but you'll know it.
Mhm.
This feels so good. This isn't what my parents wanted me to do. This isn't a lawyer, a doctor, a teacher, but I want to be an interior designer because I just love colors and I love beautiful places. And I don't care. This is where you go into the little girl who gets to do whatever she wants in her room, as big as she wants. And then this facade and fitting into some box that people think you should be in makes you unhappy. Your body is the go-between and says no. No to this, yes to that. Your body is discerning. So somatically woke makes you happy. So somatically woke makes you safe, healthy, and happy. How about that?
It's pretty freaking good. You better write an article on that one because that's just like a whole book. I also add, and I'd love you to just conclude on that, is that why is it also important for the health of our relationships? Because I think that that's what we hear a lot in people that are lonely. We have a loneliness epidemic. Women have checked out on dating, men have checked out on dating. Pornography is just massive moneymaker of an emotional, void. And I just think that that's epidemic. And so, how do you feel that this applies to this aspect, our psychological and spiritual loneliness?
Again, it's isolation. It's
Mhm.
so easy to get what you think you need. So, say you're not feeling sexy, say you're not feeling sexy, like I don't even, that whole area down there is numb, you're like, So you go to porn, you go to something visual, you go to something outside your body to try to stimulate that feeling of being sex, being turned on or whatever. And I have no idea why I'm going down this path, but I'm going
Okay.
with it. But that you go outside yourself
Mhm.
instead of going inside yourself, maybe taking a hot bath and
Mhm.
starting to nurture your body and that numb area down there. Like, wake it up. I mean, it's a bit again about isolation and feeling like you get your needs met by going outside your body. And that's where I got really loud a minute ago. And I'm like, it's not going to satisfy. And it's like food. You're going to keep eating because it's not satisfying. You're going to keep eating until you become obese because you're filling the hole, the need for nurturing, and you're reaching for food instead
Mhm.
of reaching for what nurtures you. And you have to ask yourself what feels good, what doesn't feel good. If you start following the rabbit of feel good, you start hopping down that trail like Alice in Wonderland, you will you will get what you need. You will get what you need,
Mhm.
what you're wanting, what you're isolated about, what you're longing for.
Mhm.
But you do have to have the courage to take that first step.
Right. That's what I was saying too, is that it's the fear of intimacy. It's the fear of actually giving yourself permission to feel good that prevents most people. And I think that's exactly what you point to in your books is how to overcome the fear to tap in. And I just, let's go on the second book. Can you talk a little bit about, first of all, everyone, just you got to read this one. I'm just showing you on screen, Issues in Your Tissues, how to navigate life through your body and messaging by Ms. Angel. And then your second book coming out in, I believe, beginning of March.
Beginning of March. Yep. Available on
So
Amazon.
yeah, if you just don't mind just giving us a summation about where we can find it, I'm so pleased about this next book. I think it's going to be amazing.
Easiest thing for people to do. I'm so easy to find. You can Google me. You can now chat GPT me. Oh my God. Chat GPT actually knows who I am. Anyway, I am somebody.
Who needs
External validation.
right?
I am joking. I'm
Who needs
joking.
Wikipedia?
And yeah. Anyway, angelhoward.co, not com, .co. Angelhoward.co. Please join my email list because everything I'm doing, I have retreats out in Arizona coming up. I have talks that I'm giving at different universities and down in Gainesville, Florida, with a somatic kind of symposium that was kind of gathered around me and that book of somebody who read it and started giving it to her patients and clients. That's how that happened. But all these things are going to be on that website. That is like my calling card. So angelhoward.co, join the email because if you join the email, I will be pushing out when it is coming out. I may do introductory prices, on Amazon, but I'm on Amazon, I'm on Barnes and Noble, I'm on most every online bookstore that there is. And if you're interested, I love to come and talk to people. I love it. I do. It doesn't matter how small or large it is. I love it. And next year's really about book touring and
Good.
talking to people, inspiring people to be real, to communicate, to do the hard stuff, but to get to that grass is greener side of the work.
Mhm.
So, yes, invite me. Give me an email. I'm just angel@angelhoward.co. I'm so easy to find, but please find me, join me. I'll let you know when books come out, when talks come out. And I'm on Instagram. LinkedIn is a place I do a lot of my teaching. LinkedIn, Angel Howard again, Angel Howard official on Instagram, Facebook, all the things. Just Angel Howard, and you can get to me through Googling me. But join me because if you want to know about, things that's going on, that's the best way. And invite me. I love to show up.
And she really does. It's no lie. It was so funny. The first time we ever talked, we were talking and she had a vacation spot. And she goes, yeah, here, just, come and, send me your location. And then the next time we talked, she goes, I don't even know why. I, like literally sent you my location. I don't even know who you are.
But hey,
It was,
that's a testament to how
I
I felt about you.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, and the same way, and vice versa, I think that real people know real people. And I just want to say to the viewers and listeners, whatever that part in you that feels like you're too loud, too
Mm,
quiet, too smart, too shy, too pretty, too fat, too skinny, whatever that is, believe this, that truly is your superpower. And once you walk through that door and you leave behind the facade of who you were or who people wanted you to be, you are
yeah.
truly on the path of freedom. And we believe in you and we're here for you. Absolutely, Angel and I, as sisters on the journey as well. Because big energy needs other big energy around them to encourage them. And I'm just super grateful for you, Angel. Thank you so very much for this time. I know you're super busy and you're phenomenal. And I'm super grateful.
Oh, well, phenomenal knows phenomenal. So I'm just a mirror, Kate.
Oh, that's awful sweet. Thank you so much. And thanks to all the viewers and listeners for tuning in to another episode of Master Your Life. I'm Kate McKay. And until next time, remember your greatness within you. And this is your time, your year to lean in and shine.